Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel. I'm so excited to have you here today. If you haven't joined us as part of our friends and family, I'd love to have you do so. Let's get crafty. DIY 1, I started with a Keurig cup. And, if you want the coffee in there to dry out a little bit quicker, put a slit in the top after you're finished with it. If you don't have these, I bet you have a friend that does. I tend to just make a cup now and then, but I save them because waste not, want not. You're just trying to empty this out. Get underneath that coffee filter so that you can just pull it out, and then it's pretty good to go right underneath that. And just rinse it all out, take off that extra foil. I use this Krylon Fusion all-in-one hammered silver paint, and I sprayed 2 of those. Next, I took a little bit of burlap fabric and just the scraps. I kind of evened off the end of that, and I'm just putting the scraps in here. So again, instead of wasting that, I could have just tossed it and cut a nice perfect piece. But we're making a little apple bucket or barrel here, and it didn't need to be perfect because you've just thrown an old burlap bag in there. Now, I took this holly berry pick from the Dollar Tree, and this is going to be our apples. So those darker berries I kind of wanted at the bottom to kind of cover up, but give us the height. You could also put, a little bit of paper or something to kind of bump this up if you don't have as many berries. And wherever you've pulled them apart, so, there's maybe a little bit of white, that's where you're going to stack the other ones, or you might put a leaf or something to cover that up. All right, my barrel is just about full, and I think it's adorable already. Isn't that cute? So we're making tier tray items today, and I think that this will be adorable. I don't think that I've done any apple for my fall tier tray. This is my first video of the fall tier tray items, and so I'm going to continue to add to them, so you'll see more videos to come of more fun things. Okay, just finishing stacking this up, and then I cut off little pieces of the stem that was holding that holly there, and I glue that to the ends of some of the apples to make stems, and then I'm taking a little bit of these leaves, like I said, to cover up some of those white pieces, to create a little bit of contrast, and just make it a little realistic. See those stems on some of the apples? Isn't that cute? Grab a hay bale or 2, a couple little pumpkins. DIY 2. This seems to be a favorite, so I'm bringing it back out, and I took the little wood blocks from the Dollar Tree. I'm painting this in Waverly Plaster. Painted all 4 blocks on one side. Now I'm taking these stickers from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to spell out fall. So you could spell out autumn, you could spell out hello fall, whatever you want, but it's going to make the cutest little blocks, and this is a great way to do it when you don't have a Cricut. You can use these stickers, and we're going to do some reverse stenciling. So I'm going to go back over the top of these fall stickers with more paint. The color that I want behind the stickers is the color that I'm going to paint over the top. That way, if there happen to be a little bit of bleed, it's going to be the color that we want anyways. So now I went over this with some pumpkin chalk paint. I love this color. It is just the perfect pumpkin color, isn't it? Now I'm going to paint my full blocks. So just give those a full coat there. And now we go back and just pop off our stickers. I got that little paper piecing tool or weeding tool from the Dollar Tree. They come two to a pack and they work perfect. So you can stack them, you can spread them out in a line. They're just adorable and versatile for any season. Crafted by Corie hosts a minis challenge each month. This month it's fall, so there'll be a playlist of other great DIYers down in the subscription box, as well as a link to her channel. Look how talented she is. So go subscribe to her, give her a little bit of love, let her know I sent you, and go to the playlist. You'll love it. Let's get to DIY 3. I took these little wooden apples from the Dollar Tree and I wanted to get the stem out of the center. So I took my heat gun. You could try using a blow dryer. That would probably get warm enough as well. And now I took some needle nose pliers and I'm just going to twist that. It took a couple times with the heat gun, but just give it a good pull and twist. Once it starts to become loose, then you can just keep twisting it. So I did that for 3 of them. Now I just took a skewer and I cut them down to size. We're making caramel apples. And then I used a little bit of glue and just glued those in. Now when I did this back with my honeybees and I made honey, I used my little coffee warmer and I totally forgot, as well as a little condiment dish from the Dollar Tree. But this was getting to be later at night and I kind of forgot about that. So I just keep adding a little bit of glue and a little bit of makeup that I'm not using. Again, waste not, want not. And I'm just going to spread this over my apple to make caramel apples. You might have to blend a couple colors. And I would suggest using flat colors instead of sparkly. This palette did have sparkly colors for the most part, and I tried to use more flat colors, but there's a little bit of shimmer in there, but I think sometimes you have that also. Okay, so I remembered this, but I couldn't find my little glue condiment dish, so I used an old mason lid. And then I'm just spreading this on here. Again, the glue won't stick to the silicone, so I can use that. It'll peel right off. But to smooth it out, just take your heat gun, and that worked well. And also when my glue, started to set a little bit, I'd use the heat gun again. This looks so messy, but if you grab those little condiment dishes, it works like a dream. You can also use a candle warmer, but I had this for my coffee, but now I think it became a craft warmer. I may have gotten a little sloppy there. But these were fun, and I think they turn out adorable. And, I include my little snafus because I want you to see we're not perfect. We have ideas just like you, and they don't always go smoothly, but often they turn out beautiful in the end. All right. So just heating up that glue, letting it lay all down. I apologize for my hand there. These heat guns are pretty cheap. I think it was like $11 on Amazon if you might need one in your craft supplies. I'll link it down below. Aren't these adorable? You could also do candy apples and make that like a shimmery red. That would be cute too. You might see that. So fun and fall. DIY 4. I have these rub-ons and I took one of these Mason salt and pepper shakers, took it out and sprayed it with some ivory spray paint. I was trying to make this without my Cricut. I adore my Cricut, but I know you don't all have one. I would suggest, if you're really interested, to watch. If you've been saving for it at all, they've had the Cricut Joys out for $99, like at Joann and on Amazon. So if that's something you're in the market for, you might want to take a look. But this little rub-on was from the Dollar Tree. I did realize after I did this, I gave it a good rub all over, but I think if you rub one area and start to lift that corner right away, because it like settles back down on it and starts to pick up what you've put down. So just rub it, lift, rub, lift. That turned out the best for me. I do hope that you've been enjoying these DIYs so far. If you have, please hit that like up above. It will have YouTube suggested to other people that might want to see it as well. Also share with friends and family. And if I'm lucky enough, I'd love to have you subscribe and be part of our friends and family. Okay, I just popped a little styrofoam ball, and there was a little bit of glue, and now I'm just making a piping bag. I do like the real piping bags better than like a Ziploc bag because it is the right size to fit that on there. And I did have a snafu. As you can see, I was switching bags there. I had a little blowout. So you just want a star tip on your bag, and you can practice in your spackle. I get the Fast and Final. I believe I got it at, I want to say that was Menards. That was the cheapest place I found it. And it's a bright white. If you do get the Dollar Tree brand, you may want to just mix a little bit of white with it because it does dry an off-white. So just do your piping as you'd like your whipped cream. We're making a little fall beverage here. And so just as much or as little as you might want on there, but I kind of liked, it's fun. Let's be real. Once you get piping, it's fun. So it gets higher and higher. Now I just sprinkle while it's still wet some cinnamon until I think it looks about right. And also when I did the rub-ons, I did a couple leaves on each side. Now I've got a cinnamon stick. And I'm just going to trim part of that off. And I'm just going to put it at the end. I think it's a cute little accent. I've seen, so many accents on these. I was trying to keep it kind of simple, though, to what would I actually go grab, from a coffee shop. I got these straws at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to snip 2 pieces off. I was just wondering, are you a pumpkin spice person or are you, pumpkin spice is awful. I think you're either one or the other. It's not it's okay. And I apologize right there. My battery died and I didn't realize it. So I just put those straws in and I piped a little bit underneath them to prop them up, make sure they're in there tightly. And I started to tie a bow and then I decided, that's just too much. It's cute, but is it missing something? I'm just continuing to look. Do I throw a pumpkin on there? And I'm like, no, I think less is more. I wanted it to look real and not, so faux. So yeah, let me know what you would do. I think it turned out cute. DIY 5. This is our last one today. I took a couple different size pumpkins. That was some pumpkin scatter I'd found last year in the Target bullseye spot. You can use the pumpkins from Dollar Tree. They have many different sizes and different types. That's the boxwood from Walmart. And I'm just taking one of my other buckets here. and I just trimmed down that boxwood. I started out thinking, oh yeah, one on each side, maybe one in the middle. I go back in and I've got that going all the way around. I've got the two tones going, so as much or as little as you want, go for it. But this is such a simple DIY that just adds a beautiful touch to your tiered tray. Yep, I'm thinking that's all I need. Silly me. Okay, now I'm thinking, okay, I'll pop this back off and add a little bit more. Yep, I keep going. Even after I start gluing the other pumpkins on top, I went back in. You'll see at the end, but it's as little as much as you want. You know, just a little accent of the greenery, or you could use some Spanish moss. You could also use a little bit of the Hawaiian skirt, you know, so it kind of looks like cornstalk or hay. Then just gluing these on top of each other. You could also paint, you know, the Keurig cup a different color if you wanted to, but this is what I went with. I'd also spray painted a zip strip. Now, when I initially had painted it, I was thinking I was going to end up turning one of those two into a bucket. Maybe it was a bucket of apples, but I realized how small the berries were, that a bucket would have maybe looked funny, so I made it more of a barrel. So I think our imagination just keeps going as we start creating things. Don't be afraid of that. So I did trim it down a little bit long so that I can use it for another project in the future if I want to make a bucket. So I'm like, okay, that's about long enough for a bucket handle, right? So I snipped that off, and now I'll measure this. And I'm just going to put a band around the bottom of this little topiary. I think it just gives it a nice little accent. Is it necessary? Of course not. You could also, if you wanted it, you know, a little bit more country, like I said, Spanish moss or whatever you'd like there. And then maybe you don't do a band on there. Maybe you do a little bit of twine. So your imagination's the only limit. What a great reuse of these Keurig cups, right? So fun. Gosh, I hope that you're enjoying these. Don't forget to go visit the playlist. Also subscribe to Corie. She is an amazing crafter. You are going to love her as well as the other crafters on this playlist. Okay, that about finishes it. See, I only have a couple leaves, but check it out here. Oh yeah, we've got a bunch. Which way would you have left it? I can't wait to read your comments below, what you liked, what you loved, what you want to recreate. I love it. So thanks again from the bottom of my heart for watching. I do hope that you'll comment and subscribe. There's a couple other videos that you might enjoy. Have a wonderful, blessed day.